Good evening. Good evening. What is going on?
What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of the Football Frame of Mind podcast, man. I'm your host, Cam. This is the co-host, Brandon, on the other side. Whichever side you're watching on, man. We appreciate everybody here, man. Happy to be doing this, man. Every Sunday, that's our time, man. So be here or be where. So bring us in, Brandon. Bring us in, man. Let everybody know what's going on today, man.
So, man, we got a jam-packed episode, man. We are finishing up our college football breakdown. We kind of touched base on it at the end of last episode, but we're going to be getting into college football playoff predictions, national championship, award finalists who we think are going to win various awards, that. And we kind of got a surprise interview for today's episode. I think it'd be really interesting, guys. I think you guys will really be interested. Just get comfortable, get you a nice drink, nice snack, and check us out.
Yeah. So regarding the interview, man, since Brandon put the cat out the bag anyway, but interview's been postponed to a later date. But that's okay. That's all right, man. We will continue to work on getting our first interview, man, so we can try out our skills, man. But everything else is on schedule for today. As Brandon said, we will be breaking down our picks, and we will be breaking down our picks for the season. This is the final episode of our college football breakdown preseason. So we'll have everything out there. So if we really bomb on some picks like I did on the NFL side with the Carolina Panthers, you can call us out on it, man. I'm definitely gonna find that clip, man, and I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna be like, I picked this team to win, and they were nowhere near close to winning anything. So,
Oops.
but it should be a really fun show, man. So, you know the drill, man. Run up the likes, the subscriptions, man. Our socials are at the bottom, man. And we're happy to be starting this show, man. Let me fix my camera a little bit because it's kind of pointing up at the sky. But man, how you like that new intro, man? How you like
That's
that
dope. I like it.
with the clock on there?
Hmm. I
Yeah,
like it.
man. I was just playing around, man. I was like, man, let's do something else with the intro, man. Let's see. Oh, we got some comments already, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
All right,
good
so
question.
this isn't our college, this isn't our NFL show, but this is Andrew, and Andrew is always good with his comments and interaction. So we gotta answer this one, man. So who wins the Commanders? I feel like the Commanders is probably going to win more games than the Broncos. That's just my opinion
I
because I think Jaden Daniels is going to be rookie of the year. That cat's out of the bag. So when you watch the show, that's already going to be my pick. But I think that's the biggest thing right now for that has the Commanders in my eyes right now. That's my pick.
yeah. Uh, my biggest thing with Denver is I think Bo Nix will be fine. I don't know if he's gonna be superstar, stellar his first year with Denver. Denver's in a tough division this year. The AFC West got really better in the offseason, and not so much in favor of Denver. The Chargers got better. I feel like the Raiders, they're still a formidable squad. And obviously, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I
Yeah.
feel like the NFC East is a bit better of a situation for the Commanders than how the Broncos are in their division. And I think it's all about how Jaden Daniels adjusts. If they put him in good positions, if they're able to protect him and let him play his game, I think Washington's always one of those teams that just can be sneaky good, and especially now that they kind of got out of the shadow of Dan Snyder and a lot of those other things. You got your franchise quarterback, you got a new head coach, new offensive coordinator. I think Washington's in a good spot, man. They made some good signings in the offseason. I think Washington's gonna be better than Denver. I don't know about a whole lot better, but I think Washington will be better nonetheless.
Yeah, and then if I'm looking at Denver, like I mean, like I said, it just depends on who their quarterback is, you know? Like I said, they had new ownership as well over the last couple years. So it's interesting to see if Sean Payton wants to just start Bo Nix and just kind of just mold him into what he wants him to be, rather than going with another guy. So that's an interesting thing because I think the Broncos are a really bad team, but they got good pieces, right? They got good people.
Mm-hmm.
Bad team altogether. So it just depends, man. I don't know. I think that whole Russell Wilson situation really kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So I'm glad. I think they're happy that he's out of the way, and they can just start over. Start over completely with what they have to do, man. So we know we start our show off typically with some news, man. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the Hall of Fame class, man. Some really good speeches, man. I watched a few of them, specifically Julius Peppers, man. Um, and I feel like, well, we'll start right there. That'll be our thing. So, what person were you happy about to get in the Hall of Fame this year?
Honestly, I mean, they're all really good players. Like, I don't feel like there were any bad players or people I felt like could have been like not in there. I'd probably say Andre Johnson, man. I think Andre Johnson's just an unsung hero of his era. Just a freaking monster. Possession receiver, big. Just I don't feel like nobody talks about how good he was in that era because I mean, you had guys like Moss, you had guys like T.O., you had Torrey Hall, you had Isaac Bruce, you had Chad Johnson, and so many other guys that he kind of got overshadowed.
Hmm.
But in that prolific offense that Houston had, he was the main focal piece outside of Schaub and Arian Foster. Like Andre Johnson was good no matter who his quarterback was. Didn't matter if it was David Carr, Matt Schaub, Case Keenum. It didn't matter at all. So I was really happy to see him. And I mean, as well as Patrick Willis, man, I loved me some Patrick
Yeah,
Willis,
yeah.
especially with his limited playing time in his career. He retired early, man, but he was a beast. There was no doubt that he was one of the best, if not the best, linebacker when he was playing. So I was really happy to see his name too.
So one of the well, he kind of stole my favorite. I hate that we're like the same fan because I was actually really excited to see Andre in there as well. But another person I was really excited to see was Devin Hester get in there, man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Devin Hester getting into the Hall of Fame sets up a good precedent for special teams players, man. Guys like Brian Mitchell, who was really good at special teams in the '90s. Let's see, some other guys like Dante Hall, who had one of the craziest special teams runs.
Dude was OP, bro.
OP, exactly, OP,
Especially at
man.
Madden, he was OP.
Yeah, so it's good to for a good precedent that maybe those guys will get a look too. I mean, if you put kickers in there, you put punters in there,
You
so
can put
why not?
returners.
Why not put kick returners and punt returners in there? It's fair. So I think that's a really, really cool thing. So, but I'm really glad, and the fact that Patrick Willis got in there let me know that Luke Kuechly is probably going to get in there as well because
Oh
he had
yeah.
a nice short career as well. So yeah, man. Uh, Andrew put another one in here. Mongo. I forgot who that is, but I know he was in the hospital, so he couldn't really go. Um, and they inducted him in the hospital. So I thought that was really cool. If you watch wrestling, Sting, uh, very big wrestler in the '90s, '80s, and '90s, actually gave him a shout out. So I felt like that was really cool. So I know who he's talking about. I just don't really know much about the player, but it was really cool to see that on the internet, man. Because uh, guys in the Hall of Fame, man. I think it was really awesome though how they just inducted them right there. That was cool, man. Had everybody. I think Mike Singletary was there. I think the player that Andrew was talking about actually played on the Bears. So Mike Singletary was there. Had a lot of Bears players there. So that was pretty cool to see, man. Mike Singletary needs to be back in the NFL.
Choo. Dude, I don't know how he hasn't been. I know his stint with San Fran wasn't the greatest, but he could really be a key piece on somebody's staff. Not even necessarily at the head coaching spot, But he's got a high football IQ, man. He knows football, and he's old school grit, tough, man. Like that's one of those guys that you want to see in the league. It feels like it's been forever. How long has it been since he was with the Niners? That had to have been
Um,
before 2010, like
it was
2008,
like
2009 or something.
it was
Dude, that had to have been pre
after
2010
after God damn man.
because he got there before Harbaugh, so that's pre 2010. I feel like that's
Yeah,
been a little
yeah,
while.
that was after another guy, man. I can't remember
Yeah,
his
I know,
name,
I know who
man.
you're saying. I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, but it was definitely before Harbaugh.
Yeah,
And once
he
he
was the guy before him. Yeah.
yeah, but he was really good, man. I mean, even on Madden back in the day, like when you would hire your coaches, Singletary was like the highest rated coach on there, like assistant anyway. So I was like, even they knew back then he was really good. So so I find that to be really cool, man. So hold up, we got one. I want to talk about one more thing, man, before we get in there. Let me put it up here, man. Give me 1 second, dog. 1 second. We live here. We live here. So we making some changes, man. Not changes, but just adding stuff to the show, man. So last piece of news before we get started. Um Shout out to Victor Hauptman, college football dogs writer. I read this story across the internet, man, about Kentucky having to get rid of their wins, man. It's a really cool read, man. Check out College Football Dogs for all of your sports media needs, man. Taking it back, integrity, giving integrity to sports media again, man. But this story really stood out to me, man. Because this was a really cool, it's a really cool read because it got into Mark Stoops and how that season really propelled him to get that extension that he got. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
get your thoughts on, Kentucky losing these wins, man. Like, I mean, we know they won,
Yeah.
and everybody else knows they won, but in the record books it won't count, right? So my
So
thing is, what do you think about Kentucky? Does it tarnish Mark Stoops' legacy,
what?
or is it
So
just like whatever?
what is the exact like the familiar like the solid evidence to why they're doing what they're doing? Like I know, but I don't know.
So it was in the article it was stated that it was about them working but not working, if it made sense. Like they were working, supposed to be working somewhere and were paid compensation but didn't do no work.
So they're taking wins away for something that didn't have to do with wins.
Impressible benefits.
If that's the case, then I don't necessarily agree. I don't necessarily think it tarnishes anything he's done. I feel like he's kind of brought Kentucky back to at least a level of integrity for sure compared to where Kentucky was when we were younger. I mean, they were kind of not the laughing stock of the conference, but they just weren't taken very serious. I mean, Kentucky's not a bad team at all, and since he's been there, he's really gotten them to. I mean, they're always in like that anywhere between like 7 to 8, 9 wins. Like they can go and beat anybody most of the time. Hospital pay.
Yeah, like they were working for the hospital or something like that and they didn't really do nothing or something like that. So I guess the NCAA ruled that as they were getting paid or something. But Andrew makes a good point here as well.
Paid players 2 months later they legalized it. Bad call. Yeah, I would probably side with you on that. Like, yeah. I think that's just them trying to act like they're doing something about that, but that really had nothing to do with I don't know. I don't necessarily understand.
Yeah, me neither, man. Me neither. So
It
I
doesn't make me look at Mark Stoops any different. I respect where he's taken that program, and I mean they're not bad, man. He does pretty good at recruiting. Kentucky does as good as what you're gonna expect. They're not gonna be flashy. They're not gonna be crazy, but they're gonna win games. Some of them are gonna be ugly games, but they're gonna have a good record by the end of the year, and they might stun a couple big teams on the way, man. I mean, they're not a bad team by any means.
Yeah, man, I agree. I agree. I think Mark Stoops has been a blessing for Kentucky, to be honest with you, because
Agreed.
anybody else, probably would have won in what else 2000, I think 21 or 22 or something like that. So they would have won those 10, 12 games, that 2011 games that they won, and would have went to another job. But he
Mm-hmm.
decided to stay there and committed. And I mean, every job in the SEC seems to be, it should be coveted. You know,
Yeah.
like unless you going to like Michigan, Ohio State, any blue blood program, you should want a job in the SEC because you're going to be able to judge yourself against the best, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And even looking at Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou, right? You look at that situation and he's winning there. I wouldn't even go nowhere unless it was a bigger program somewhere because I'm in the SEC. And if I can beat Georgia or I can beat a Florida, which he beat Florida, but he's been close against Georgia a few times. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty good.
The
Every
SEC is
year,
the best place to be.
yeah, I agree. I agree, man. Like even if you got the Vanderbilt job, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's still a really good gig.
you would have to do like James Franklin did. It would have to be I'm going to Penn State, which is an upgrade considering where you're at, right?
But
But if you're going, yeah,
even if I'd be content with an SEC job because I'm gonna have the best pick of like pure like skill position athletes. I'm probably gonna have the best facilities. I'm gonna have like I just like a crap ton of assets that I just don't feel like a lot of other schools are gonna have. Besides maybe the cut two or three that you previously mentioned, I just feel like the SEC is the best place to be if you get a head coaching gig.
yeah, I agree, man. I agree. So you ain't gonna get no argument for me, man. I will definitely coach at Vanderbilt because not only you'll be good, but you'll end up getting some doctors and lawyers too, man. Because that's a school that loves their academics, man. So you get a lot of funding, man. I think those people give a lot back, and they have a
Hmm.
respected journalism school too, man, because a lot of people do that. Mizzou has a good one. Vanderbilt has a good one, and can't forget Vandy baseball, man. Come on now, it's like the best program
Oof.
in the world. They sit there and win all the time, bro. All the time. That's crazy how many players come from the SEC now, man. But
It's
that's
crazy.
college. That's college baseball, man. We're not gonna get into that, man. But you know what time it is, man. It's time for the prediction show, man.
Woo
The prediction
woo.
show, college football edition, man. So we're gonna just rehash our picks of our conference champions and then get into our picks for the awards, man. So if you watched our first preseason breakdown, y'all know who our SEC championship. I gotta show some love to our teams, man. Come on, we got them SEC championships, right? But surprisingly, Brandon's pick was not his LSU Tigers. I was surprised at this one, but just going back, his pick was Ole Miss, and my pick was of course Alabama. But uh, like I said, I like that pick that you made about Ole Miss. I think it was good because Jackson Dart is
Dude.
like a seriously dark horse for the Heisman, man. Like he's really good, man. Now I will say that losing Judkins is a big loss. Like
Yeah.
big loss because like even like you could put three running backs back there. You still can't. Judkins was just that dude. Like I said, when you have a play calling genius like Lane Kiffin, you have to understand that if he finds that he can run the ball on you, he ain't gonna do nothing else. In fact, In fact, he gonna do it in like 10 different ways.
Hmm.
He gonna put the running back in motion on a jet sweep. He'll throw it in the backfield on a swing pass to the running back. Then he'll probably run an option on you, a triple option. He'll probably bring that out. But he can beat you once he finds a way to do it. So, but I do like that pick. I think Jackson Dart is really good, man. So, but let's move on. We went over that, man. So the next conference we went over, I think, was the Big Ten. Shout out to Michigan. They won that thing last year. They look so happy. They ain't gonna be happy this year. but
Agreed.
but our respective picks, man, were Ohio State and Oregon. Like I said, I thought Ohio State's gonna be really good. The addition of Chip Kelly Judkins transfers to Ohio State. And I'm not sure if they going a two-headed monster, but I would argue that's probably the best two-headed monster backfield in the entire country. You're talking Judkins and Travion Henderson. So be nasty, man. And they picked up the transfer quarterback from Kansas
Will
State.
Howard.
Yep, Will Howard. So he's also a dark horse for the Heisman because you stick anybody in there that can remotely throw the ball in the vicinity
Mm-hmm.
of the receiver, they're probably going to be a Heisman or All American candidate, man. So next conference we went over, man, was the Big 12, man. Old picture of TCU winning that thing. Throwback picture because that title don't look like that no more. I thought the
Mm-hmm.
title was really good, man.
Mm-hmm.
But our respective picks, man, on how not Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and Utah, man. So you really like Utah. I do too. But this is the year of Ollie Gordon. He coming for that thing. If they gonna win it, he gonna be a Heisman candidate, man. I don't see him winning it anyway, man. But we go to our next conference, man. Just going throwback, man. Going redoing it, man. Florida State in that picture, man. But our pick for the ACC, man. We went doubled up with Miami. I think Cam Ward is gonna be good. He's gonna be a baller. Look out for him all season. If they're gonna win the conference, he's got
It's
a
because of
deal.
him.
He's got a deal. Yep. So, but then we go. We did our group of five team. I believe that's Appalachian State in the picture. And Sun Belt was that conference, by the way. And our picks for our group of five selection, thanks to the fan vote. But Appalachian State and Texas State are your picks, man. So now we get into the real thing, man. Let's talk about the Fred Biletnikoff Award. And for those people who don't understand, that is the receiver of the year in college, man. So look at that award. It's beautiful.
It is.
The face mask, man.
Very, very, very low. Like, nobody talks about that trophy. Everybody talks about Heisman and whatever. I really like the Biletnikoff trophy.
Yeah, man. So these are our picks, man, for the thing. So I'll let you start, man. Talk about my guy Luther Burden the third.
So Missouri's in a really good place. You bring back Brady Cook, who was one of the more elite passers in the country last year. You lose your stud running back, obviously the NFL. I don't know what running game Missouri's really going to have, but my reasoning for picking Luther Burden is Missouri lost their defensive coordinator and Blake Baker, and they lost a couple of other really good assistant coaches. So I don't know how good their defense is really going to be, but I really expect Brady Cook and this offense to spread that ball out and throw the ball a lot. And I think he's ready for it, man. I think they kind of gave him a taste of it last year, and he handled the pressure really well. And I think that connection between him and Burden's going to be electric. I think they're going to light a lot of these teams on fire. Like, I really see Missouri being one of those teams that really score a lot of points. I just feel like I don't know how their defense is going to be. Maybe they're going to have to try to bail their defense out more times than not because maybe they just don't have the same performance coming from the defensive side of the ball. But I really think that between those two, I think he's going to have a really, really good year. I definitely think his name's going to be in there for best receiver for sure.
Okay, man. I agree, man. That's my other team that I root for in the SEC, man. But I think Evan Stewart's probably gonna walk away with that title, man. Simply because you look at Texas A&M, really rough season, and he was kind of the only bright spot, you know, and because especially in the pass game anyway. And I think him going to Oregon, I couldn't find a better picture of him. I wish I could have. But him going to Oregon, just I think opens him up a lot. Like they have a really good receiving core out there, and he just another one, you know. And with Dylan Gabriel back there throwing passes, he's got a lot to choose from. And I feel like Evan Stewart's going to be able to slice through secondaries all year long because you can't double him because they got three other guys and some
They
running
already
backs.
had it. They already had another guy who was a really good number one there. So I mean, they're deep at
Yeah,
receiver.
so like he just adds to the pot. and he's just another key in the machine, man. And he's gonna be good. I think the only thing that stops him from winning an award is that they don't. He's not the number one guy that they have, So I think Luther Burden has a better shot, but I do think Evan Stewart is definitely he's got a shot to win, because I think he's a game breaker, man. The stuff he was doing at Texas A&M was just crazy. Imagine if he had a good quarterback, man, at least
Mm-hmm.
half the time. He'd have been really good, man. So I like him a lot, man. So next award we get into, man, is a Doak Walker, man, or the running back of the year for people who don't really watch the award shows, man. So these are our picks, man. I picked Ollie Gordon. You picked Quishon Jenkins, man. So I guess I'll start. I think Ollie Gordon's going to win it, man. I think he go back to back this year. Simply because if they're going to be any good, it's all going to be him. Now typically Oklahoma State is one of these teams that is quarterback heavy, but over the last 5-6 years they've been coming downhill with their running backs. They've been
Mm-hmm.
really good in the running back room the last couple of years, and kind of going back to how they used to be back in the Big Eight and all of that, when they was down there with what's that, Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas back there. uh so cheating backfield. That's so cheating.
That's OP.
But but I think he has a chance to go back to back because I think they're just gonna feed him, man. I think he had a lot to prove. I think he's motivated due to some off the field troubles he had. That I like what Mike Gundy did. He said, "Look, man, we're gonna handle this internally, and I expect him to be suspended for at least a half and be pissed off that all the hard work you did, you're not starting. So I expect him to be suspended, just to make sure he understands that you got to make some better decisions, man. And I expect him to be motivated. Usually, people that get in trouble like that, they're usually motivated to come back and do something better, man. So I expect
Mm-hmm.
him to have a lot of yards. Not saying he'll dominate, but not having to go through Texas and Oklahoma this year is going to be crazy. So I expect him to have a couple games this year of over 200 yards, man. So he had a couple last year, and without those two teams in there, you can add a couple more. And the defenses, not saying that the defenses that in the Big 12 this year are bad, but they're not as good as Texas and Oklahoma's was. So he's gonna have some good games, man. So give us a rundown on Judkins from Ohio
Well, I
State.
mean, Ohio State already does really good at the offensive line. We already know that. Big corn-fed boys on the offensive line, man. Ohio State always runs the ball really well. And the cool thing about Judkins, he's a downhill runner. He's strong, but he's valuable in the pass game too. He's versatile. And the way that Chip Kelly likes to run offense, he's not going to be basic. He's going to mix all kinds of things up. He's going to get that running back involved, whether it be going through the tackles, going to the outside, or springing this guy out on a wheel route going down the sideline. I mean, he's going to be a heavy piece of this offense. I know Ohio State's really known for how good their receivers are, especially like the ones that Brian Hartline is really involved on getting those guys in. But I really think that this offense is going to flow through the run game, and it's going to open up their play action game and allowing like Will Howard to either go play action and go way downfield, or you can do these check downs and these dump offs to Judkins and your other receivers, stuff like that. But I think he's a stud. He's damn near, in my opinion, the best running back in the country. He's definitely in the conversation. And I really think Chip Kelly running the offense, I think he's going to do everything to get the most out of him, whether it be in the run game or in the pass game.
You know what? I like that. I like that a lot. I like that thought process, man. I think Judkins just opens things up, like you said. But I think he could run away with it too, man. Because of the fact that he opens it up. But on the reverse side, like they might be so good passing that he could just have a bunch of room to run.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it a bunch of times, man. I seen it with when Zeke was there, Dobbins was there. When you open it up passing like they do, there's a lot of room to run, man. And as good as he is, And I'm not saying that the Big Ten defenses aren't that good, but he had to go through some pretty tough defenses in the SEC, man. And it, even though they got some teams to come in there, those teams aren't really known for defense. And the bottom half of the Big Ten is, I think, where he's gonna make his shine, man. Against Nebraska, or we talking Rutgers, people like that. I think the talent level between those two schools is just going to show, and that's where I think he'll get a lot of yards, against those teams, man, especially late in the game, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and don't forget, the Big Ten is in this cold weather, and it gets really nasty around October and November. So you're not really going to be passing the ball that much. You're going to be
You
running.
can be
So I
running.
think, in a nasty game where they can't just complete anything passing, it's like, okay, let's just run the ball. And Chip Kelly's one of those people on my list who I put as a genius, and he'll figure it out. And Ryan Day's pretty good too, because he was calling plays not too long ago. So I'm pretty sure it'll work out, man. But let's go to our next award, the most important award, man. Um, but I lied. Before we do that, where can you get more college football content, man? Where can you get it from? I
College
tell
football
you,
dogs.
just watch the commercial.
Check it out.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12 plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
Yeah, college football dogs, man. Subscribe, like, man. A lot of great people over there. Glad to be a part of the revolution, man. Taking back sports media one day at a time, man. So as we continue, our prediction show, man. Our next award is, of course, the most important award of all. If you're talking individuals, the Heisman, man, goes to the best player in the country, man, annually. Only two defensive players have won it, I think. No, one, two, one,
Two, I
two.
think. Two. Pretty sure it's two,
Okay, yeah,
if I'm
okay,
not mistaken.
yeah, because I know Charles Woodson won. I
Yeah.
think somebody else won that thing
Yeah.
too.
Before him, I think.
Yeah, we'll look that up, man. But I really think, but anyway, we get into our picks, man. Our picks are very, very polar opposites, man. If you watch the show, you pretty much know where I went, man. I'm picking Jalen Milroe, man. Brandon picks Dylan Gabriel, man. So I think no, I started last time. You start. You start. Yeah, tell me about Dylan Gabriel, man. What makes you excited about him winning the Heisman?
So Dylan Gabriel showed flashes of greatness in Oklahoma, but I felt like it was really limited because I mean, obviously Brent Venables is not an offensive coach, so being really limited from an offensive skill set, you're going to a team in Oregon who won. Dan Lanning has done an awesome job at stacking both sides of the ball, not just offense but defensively. But offense, man, they can score at will. You've seen what Bo Nix was able to do with this offense last year. And I think Dylan Gabriel's probably going to be even better, if not better than Bo Nix. Like, they got even more talent on offense, man. He can spread the ball out. He's an improviser. He can get out the pocket, throw it on a dime. He just knows how to get the job done. Now he's got more talent around him. He's got better protection. The skill positions are loaded. And you're going into a Big Ten where I feel like a lot of these teams are not going to know what to expect. Just like how you always talk about how Missouri and what's it called, jumped into the SEC. It's a very similar situation, except Oregon's just as loaded, if not way more loaded than what they were when they came into the conference. And you're talking about defenses that may not be as gritty or good as they are in the SEC. And Oregon comes in with all this talent, and they spread that freaking thing out 5 wide, and they're gonna freaking sling it all over the place. They can run the ball really well. They did last year, but him being able to move around the way he does, with the arm talent and the accuracy he has, with the amount of skill position players he has, this team is gonna be hard to stop for anybody in the Big Ten, in my opinion. That's why I've got them winning the conference. And I feel like if Oregon comes in the year on winning the conference, it's going to be because Dylan Gabriel's playing on that Heisman level. I definitely see him being in that conversation, and he might be able to make that next step in year one. I really think that Oregon's going to be a powerhouse going into the season. I feel like a lot of times like we're high on Oregon, but they always let us down in some way, or they lose a game they're not supposed to lose and they have sloping. I don't feel like that's going to happen this year. I think Oregon's like in a really good spot, and mainly because of one, Dan Lanning, but two, the quarterback position.
Okay, no, I can't disagree with that, man. I think if he plays at the level he's supposed to play, you could probably see some Marcus Mariota type numbers, man. Like we're talking like 70 touchdowns responsible for, because they're in a position where they're loaded on offense and defense, and coming into a conference that doesn't necessarily play defense that well, you could really rack it up. Now,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, there are better defenses than they had last season in the Pac-12, but I think their offense is so loaded, defense is so loaded that it doesn't really matter, you know. And you can see some routes go on, man, and then it depends on what you want to do. I think I heard Dan Lanning talking to Josh Pate over the offseason, and he was just saying that resting players and things like that, you have to be smarter about it. And I expect him to rack up a lot of yards, but there are going to be some blowouts, and he's not going to play in the second half or late into the second half. So it remains to be seen if he can get those numbers up, man. Because if they're good, he's going to get it, because he's going to have a whole bunch, and you're playing in one of the tougher conferences this year, so I
Mm-hmm.
expect him to do that. But for me, man, Jalen Milroe, I think walks away with it, in my opinion, because he finished sixth last year, man, and that's what missing the game. I felt like if he played in that game, he might have had a couple more touchdowns, whether it be passing or rushing. I think he would have had a few more touchdowns, man. And I think also last season just didn't feel right offensively. It felt like we should have ran the ball a lot more than what we really did. And we tried to make him pass. Like, I get it, you want to make him comfortable, but it's also about winning games. And I felt like for Alabama, it was like they should have just ran the ball a lot more. You had some really good running backs last year, and those two guys are back again for year two. And you add a guy like Kendrick Law in there as well, who's kind of like if you remember Kenyon Drake, he's kind of like him, man. He can play receiver, running back, backfield, all of that. So it's just a lot, man. A lot last season just didn't go right, but we ended up getting to the college football playoff anyway, which shows how good the team is and team was last year. So I expect Jalen Milroe to improve. Like I say all the time, man, it's the same criticism I have for Lamar Jackson. You have to win the third down plays. When we need you to pass the ball, you ain't gotta go downfield all the time. Check it down, but you have to make that throw accurately so the person can pick up the yards and make the first down, right? If he has to turn around, dive, catch the ball, he ain't gonna go nowhere. The defense has time to make up the ground, right? So if he can make those throws and continue to do that and affect the game with his passing, it's a wrap for the Heisman, because we already know he's a gazelle in an open field. So if he can just make those throws, make them respect his passing game and back up a little bit, it's a wrap, man. it's a wrap with the running game, man. And then, like I mentioned, those 3 running backs / receivers that you got, they coming back. So I don't expect an 1,000-yard rusher this year. It'll be crazy if we got a 1,000-yard rusher because you got three running backs. Might as well use them. They all talented, you know. So I think that's gonna help him win the Heisman because he's gonna probably be the leading rusher too. So it'll help him win, man. So I expect it to be really good, man. So now is our favorite part, man, as we break everything down for the playoffs and for the awards, man. Let's get into said playoffs, man. So we took the liberty of making our own playoff brackets, man. So shout out to Brandon and his artistic nature, man, making this bracket, man. It's pretty cool. It's way better than mine. But let's get into the playoff brackets, man. Who we think gonna be our 12, man. So Brandon has it to where it's gonna be interesting. So those are Brandon's 12 teams. So we'll show it again for the people who missed it like I did. So at the bottom right hand corner and the bottom left hand corner, that would be I think Boise State and Texas State, or his lower seeds. And then at the top right was Miami, and at the top left was I think Michigan. So tried to fit it in there to make it look a little more professional. But those are his I think his group of 5 teams, and not his Big Ten champion. That would be just your at large bids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So tell the people what went into your 12, man.
So me, I'm looking at it from one. You're looking at your 2 powerhouse conferences; they're loaded, and we've had this conversation numerous times. I expect the Big Ten and the SEC to have 3, if not 4 teams. Uh, Let's jump into the SEC. I definitely think Georgia's back in the playoff. Georgia's not going anywhere. Like you said before, I already have Ole Miss winning the conference. That's 2. And I see LSU and Alabama being in the same conversation, man. They did nothing but get better in the offseason. So, and the thing about it is the SEC is so good. One of those teams might get taken out, but there's going to be another one replacing them. So the SEC, I definitely see them having 4 teams. You go to the Big Ten, I think the 3 teams that are in there, we have Oregon as champion. I think Michigan's still in that conversation, and Ohio State is still right there on Oregon's butt. Like Ohio State's gonna be really good. I've got those 3 in there. You spoke on the group of 5s with Boise State and Texas State. If I don't have Boise State in there, my other team I'd probably put in there would be Tulane. I think Tulane's still really good. They did nothing to get way better in transfers and in recruiting. They're really gonna be really good. I actually probably did something that most people wouldn't do. I had only 1 team from the ACC getting in there with Miami. And I had 2 teams from the Big 12, man. I had Utah winning the conference, and I had Oklahoma State right there behind them sneaking on in. So I think that would be really cool as well. So, I mean, I didn't want to just take the same prototypical picks, but I followed the same suit we have all offseason. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to over conglomerate this playoff, and you're going to have some other really good competitive teams going to slip in there. Some maybe you didn't expect. I think Boise State's going to be really good in the Mountain West. I think they're really good. I had Texas State winning the Sun Belt. I think they're going to be really good. And the thing about it, the Sun Belt and everything, you could have somebody from Conference USA in there. You could have somebody from the American. But as in for like the big schools, I think that's the storyline, man. Those 2 big powerhouse conferences, you're going to probably see 7 to 8 teams between the 2 of them, like, no doubt in my mind.
Okay. No, man. Nah, I like that. I like that a lot. I told you yours was better than mine, man. So here's my 12, man. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. All right, here we go, man. All right,
Oh, okay.
that's my 12, man. I think my group of 5 is gonna be Boise State. I think Malachi Nelson is probably gonna carve up the Mountain West. I think it's a he's a step up in talent, but that's a step down in competition, man. And I think he's one of those players that doesn't play down to the competition. And I think he's such a great player that that's going to change everything for Boise State. I think over the course of their whole program, they haven't had a quarterback like this, and he's going to take them to heights, man. I think.
So you think?
Uh,
So you think he's? I don't mean to cut you off, but you think he's going to reach even higher heights than Kellen Moore?
yeah, man.
Okay, I was just
Yeah,
curious. I
yeah.
just wanted to get your opinion on that.
I think he's talented enough to do that. I think they haven't had a quarterback like him, rated high, and I think the transfer portal is beautiful for situations like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to play at USC, so let me just showcase my talents at a school that was maybe in my top 5 anyway. But I went
Mm-hmm.
with the higher brand, the name, image, and likeness, all of that. So let's see what happens. But I think his success on the field is going to drastically affect everything for Boise State. If he plays well, they're going to go through the Mountain West and be the top team. And because there are so many old heads on the committee, I don't expect them to put a team like Appalachian State in there unless Boise State is not like undefeated or looks real dominant on their run to the conference championship game or a conference championship title. That's when you
Mm-hmm.
start looking at teams like Tulane, Appalachian State, James Madison, teams like that. That's when you start looking at teams like that. But I think Boise State has the money name to be in there because they've been a BCS buster in the past. So they can be a playoff buster as well, man. And I have them in my thing going. I believe they'll actually have the home game against Florida State because they will be the group of 5 and a conference champion. So they will be the higher ranking seed against Florida State. Should Florida State get in there. So that should be an interesting game. Florida State going to Boise, Idaho on that blue field. What? That would be a good game. But some other people on there. I got Oklahoma State winning the Big 12. That's obviously my winner. Miami's in the top 4 seeds, Michigan and everything else. But I also have Utah getting in there as another at-large
So
team.
we agreed. So we agreed on those two teams.
Yeah. And another team. You said one team from the ACC. I think they get 3 in there. I think they get
I
3.
don't know, man. I can
I
see
think they
two. I
get
don't
3.
see three.
I
I
think
don't.
they get 3 because, like I said, man, in a couple episodes ago, I said that money is everything in the college football playoffs, man. And I think if you don't put Notre Dame in there, it's got to be another ACC school, man, because you got to think the SEC is going to make up a lot of this, right? And the Big Ten is going to make up a lot of this, right? So you're going to have 8 of your 4 teams be from those conferences alone, right? So you could maybe push that to 6 of those teams, and you still have what? You have 6 teams and then 6 more teams, right? So you already know you got 4 conference championships teams in there. They get a
Mm-hmm.
automatic. And then you got to throw in the at-large teams, but count one group of 5 team, right? So say we both say that's Boise State, right? So now you only got a couple more spots left. Like, well, who you gonna put in there? Because if Notre Dame wins a bunch of games, if they get in there and they are like 11-1, right? Say they lose to Ohio State, they're like rival or whatever. That's a really good loss, considering if they do what I got and say that they win the conference championship. It's like, hey, we got one loss and that's still a conference champion. That matters. So that's
Strength of
another spot.
schedule.
Yeah, strength of schedule. So um, so I think I still think if I had a dark horse, I think Notre Dame would be that dark horse because they don't play in
Yeah,
the conference and
I
they
would
got that
agree.
money name and things like that, man. But I do got Texas in there as well, and of course Georgia. I think it's a head-to-head battle. I think Alabama and Georgia are probably meeting in the SEC championship game, and those 2 teams are getting in the playoff. Doesn't matter if it's Alabama, Georgia. the two teams getting in the conference championship game in the SEC are going to make the playoffs because that's
What?
the toughest schedule. Doesn't matter, they're the toughest schedule and they're gonna get in there. So I
What?
think those.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
No. Go ahead.
What teams did you have from the SEC? Did you have 3 or 4?
I think I had Georgia, I had Ole Miss, and Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama. I think I had 3.
Damn, bro, you snubbed us. Now we gotta prove you wrong.
Yeah, you got to, man. I just think on the defensive line, y'all not there like y'all used to be.
Texas ain't there either. Texas ain't in Bo Davis no more.
I mean, I understand that, but they also have a proven quarterback, bro.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. Y'all was right there.
Proven quarterback in a new conference though.
I mean, hey, dog. Sometimes you're a gamer. You're a gamer. It doesn't matter who you playing, where you playing. If you got game, you could play in the MAC.
It could be the same thing. It could be the same thing with our quarterback though. Guys, limited playing time, and the teams he played would have been really good. He's balled out. They took away games he's played. Same comparison. Obviously, one has a bigger track record made to a playoff. But
yeah,
I mean,
see, that's the thing. That's the thing.
But at least he has the exposure to the conference already.
I mean, I understand that. I do. I understand that. But at the same time, he might have the experience. He might have the experience in the conference, man. But he ain't played that much in the conference either.
No, but I don't know, man. I just think Texas lost a lot, and losing Bo Davis for that defense is a big blow. Like, I don't think it's gonna be as smooth. I think they're gonna be really good, but I just don't see it being as smooth of a transition as what everybody thinks it'll be. Like, I still think they're in the conversation, but it's not gonna be easy by any means. Like, they'll have a much easier path than Oklahoma, for instance. But I don't know if I'm fully sold on Texas making that step just yet.
I mean, I understand your discourse on that. I do. I understand it fully, man. But I just feel like if they were coming into the SEC with Tom Herman as head coach, that would change everything. That would change my whole thing. But the fact that Sark has coached in the SEC, and beat some SEC schools as well, I think that's a big thing. You're gonna coach Quinn Ewers to his strengths. He ain't gonna be running. You know that he gonna be right there passing the ball, and I think that helps them a lot, man. I think when you have a head coach that can help a good quarterback, the competition is nothing, man. I think that's the same thing I say for Joe Burrow, man. I think without Brady being there to help with the passing game, I just think that would help them a lot. Let Coach O just be hands off and focus on defense, which he's a defensive guy. So I think once you have a coach that can make the head coach just stay off, or when the head coach is calling plays, I think that gives you a lot more success. Even coming into a new conference, man. If you're hands off and let your offensive coordinator do what he does, in case of LSU, hey, that's how it works. But if you're hands on with the quarterback, we can just be whatever, man. Look, we're gonna call these plays. If they work, they work. Defenses responds. We can do whatever, man. That's why I think Texas is gonna be all right, man. Like that just makes so much fun. It makes it so much fun when your head coach is like the play caller. Like, bro,
I'm gonna have a good time watching you eat some crow, bro. Because
hey,
this is
man,
gonna be your second year in a row eating some crow. You're gonna be eating that crow, bro. The district. I just can't believe. I really didn't think he was gonna snub us. Like, I really didn't think he was gonna have the stones to do that. But
hey, man, look. I am a supporter and hater of the LSU Tigers, man. But from what I seen in recruiting, man, and what they've been saying across of the Twitter sphere, there's a lot of nervousness around the fan base about their defensive line play. and or their defensive line depth, should I say. Um, and that scares me a lot, man, because I know LSU is one of those teams that when it comes to defensive linemen, especially defensive ends, they got them. And when I hear that, I don't like that because when you're in the SEC, you gotta have a rotation of at least 7, 8 dudes on the defensive line, especially with the way the spread offenses go. So you gotta have some depth, man. And when I think about that, I just think it's not gonna be good. And with a new quarterback, like you said, you're gonna have to score some points, man.
I don't think they're gonna have any issue with that though. They're still deep with the skill positions. You know he can sling it,
I
and
mean,
we've got a
he
running
can
back room
sling
that
it.
can run.
He can sling it in mop up duty.
Mop up duty.
Yeah,
They were
mop
playing
up
against like the
duty.
number one. They were playing against a number. He was playing as a number one all like defense in the country, bro, against Georgia, and he dropped like freaking 30 on them. I
Bro,
know they
that
didn't
was
know what to
like, what was
expect,
that? That was 2 years ago.
but still,
That
but
was two
still,
years ago.
but still, with limited time, that was like his first ever real freaking playing time, and was able to do that against
Bro,
Georgia. And then
what?
last year,
What?
dude, telling you, I'm
What?
telling you.
What?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And then the Mavs, they got it running back. You already know we got damn near the best offensive line in the country.
DJS, I'm not sure if you're one of the people we do shorts with. But yeah, you're on that train too, man. I mean, I don't know how you weren't impressed, man. Bro, they were
I
losing that
thought,
game big.
yeah, and they
And
came all the way back.
what, almost forced overtime or won it in the
No,
regulation?
didn't it go to overtime? Or if it didn't go to overtime, it was literally at the freaking wire.
Yeah, that game, bro. We was watching that game
Me and you
after the
was watching
stream
that
we
game.
did. Yeah, that game was close as hell. So I don't know where the discourse is about that they're not impressed, man. Sounds like a hater. Nah, man. But seriously though, man, I just I always have LSU within the top 3 or 5 in the SEC. No matter where they are. They're gonna be at a high
So
bowl game.
so if they get snubbed, how many wins do they have then? If they get snubbed and those 4 teams get in there, you cannot tell me you see that team winning less than 10 games, bro. I think this team can
No,
win 10
I don't
games.
see
And
them
that's
losing.
bias aside.
I don't see them like losing more than 3 games. 3 games. But I feel like it's gonna be a cannibalistic thing, man.
Yeah.
Like even if Alabama, my team, wins, they're gonna have at least one loss to somebody. At least one. Nobody's coming out the FCC unscathed. So then you start having a group of teams with 2 or 3 losses, right? That's where I slide LSU in there, right? So now instead of them being in the playoff, you're fighting to get in there against some other teams that have 2 or 3 losses. So if you're Clemson and you have 2 or 3 losses, and one of those losses is possibly to a conference champion, that affects things, right? LSU, the same thing. Then they start adding things as far as where the committee goes, those extra data points. Who's the better quarterback of the two, right? They don't say those things publicly, but that's what they do. What's going to bring us the most money in this 12-team playoff, man? And if they look at the thing and they say, oh, man, well, Cade Klubnik's been balling, I'm not really going to pick the LSU quarterback. Or if they look at, oh, Cam Ward was top 3 in the Heisman voting, that's going to bring us some money. Let's put him in there over there, you know? And then if you got Texas in there too, oh man, Quinn Ewers back-to-back playoffs, man. That made us a lot of money last year, man. Hey, let's just vote on him. So I just think if they don't, smack people with 2 losses, like if they don't have coming there with 2 losses, if trying to get in there and fight between them is gonna be a scramble.
Okay. I do have some pushback also. Look, I'm not being a hater. I just don't know how you think that your head coach comes in year one and is able to put everything together to make it that far. I could see them making the playoff, but going straight to the Natty, I just think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Okay, look, I'm a homer, and
No
I'm not gonna
disrespect.
hide it. I'm a homer. I'm not
Hey,
gonna
I
hide it.
picked LSU to win the Natty last year and we didn't, so I learned my lesson. I was gonna hold off on that.
I am a homer, and my fandom kind of speaks louder than me sometimes. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think you're gonna be good, man. I think you walking into a situation to where you just kind of let the players do them, man. I think the players have been under Saban's shadow for so long. Even the players that's there now, right? Saban has been the end all be all. But DeBoer seems to be letting the players police themselves, man. And I've heard it all weekend from every different sport. The teams that play the best are the ones that are led by the players. I've heard it on baseball, I've heard it on basketball podcasts. Everybody says the same thing. And the teams that Saban had that were really dominant, talking national championship dominant, were led by the players. Like every time I've read it, all of them. And I feel like when you allow the players to hold everybody accountable, it's a big deal. And then the fact that he's an offensive guy, I think he'll play better to Jalen Milroe's skill set. I think the mix between DeBoer and the offensive coordinator is like a match made in heaven, because we know we got an asset here. We got somebody that can affect the game in multiple ways. All we got to do is make sure he's making the right decisions. And I feel like that's a toy that he hasn't had before. Like, I mean, it's like Christmas. Like, come on, man. You got a quarterback run like a 4-3 with a cannon arm. Oh my God. Like, what can we do? What can't we do with him? Then you got a host of backfield stable of running backs. You got a nice receiving core with a couple of freshmen that's gonna be playing big time minutes. And we'll see what happens, man. I will say defensively, that's what I'm interested to see because it's a different system completely. Different. Not even 3-4 scheme. We're talking 4-2-5 or something. So I want to see how that works and how it goes against the teams that pass a lot, you know. Um, because they're gonna be basically in the nickel all game. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it works out because he's coming into a situation where you got a lot more toys to play with, a lot. And that's scary, man. That's scary because nobody's seen Alabama like this. A new defense, new offense, man. A new offensive coordinator that pretty much I think knows what he's doing. Because Tommy Reese was way above his head, bro. Like I love Tommy Reese. He was a good player at Notre Dame, but that was a step up, man. And you can see it, man. You can see in some of the play calling. Like Jalen's struggling throwing the ball, man. Come on, let's just run it, man. Let's just run a couple times. We got it. We cool. You watched that championship game like I did, man. And you know that the running back had like 4 carries for like 30 yards. And didn't even that's a good yards per carry if you add it up or divide it or whatever you want to do. And you just keep passing the ball. I'm like, bro, what is you doing? And of course, like I said, if Michigan could play the game in a phone booth in overtime, 25 yards, that is the phone booth. That's what happens. Pew! Right down the field, man. So, hey, I ain't mad at Michigan. I'm just saying, man, offense coordinator sucked. And I was very upset after that game. My kid seen me throw like a pillow and couch. He was like, "Oh my God, Dad, are you okay?" No, I'm not okay. Leave me alone. We could have won this game. He had an out of body experience. So did I. I was so mad, dog. That's one of them losses, man. But But yeah, man, don't be surprised, man. I'll eat some crow, man. I will eat as much crow as I'm supposed to eat, man. Because
Well, you gonna go back for second and thirds because I respect your opinion more times than most people, but I'm telling you, you're gonna eat it on that one. Just like I told you about the Panthers last year, this is the same thing, bro. Like I
okay,
think,
man,
I think y'all are gonna be good. I do, but I just think there's a lot of tangibles that could go right or wrong. And being that it is an expanded conference with a lot of really good teams, really anything could happen, to be honest with you. We could see a reality where we both something freaking goes wrong and you got Georgia, Texas, freaking Ole Miss, and Missouri, and then you really never know. Like you said before, and it's kind of like how we said about the Big Ten last year. It's gonna be one of those, hey, bro, like it's gonna be one of the last. Who's gonna be the one standing towards the end? Like nobody's gonna be undefeated. If you make it, it's because you earned it. It's not because you made by the skin of your teeth. There's no more of that. Like if you make it in, like you earned it. And I feel like there's just a lot of things that are up in the air for a lot of teams this offseason. And I mean, we'll see. Did you have them? Did you have Bama winning, or did you have Texas? Because I had Oregon winning for obvious reasons.
I had Bama winning the whole thing, man. I said, look, if you go into it and Jalen Miro plays the way he's supposed to play, right? We talking a true dual threat. Like we like I wouldn't even be mad if he had like 1,000 yards rushing. But I expect him to be the leading rusher though. I do. And I think they'll if he affects the game passing like he's supposed to, there's nothing you can do, man. Because you gotta respect his running ability, and you got three other running backs that can really dominate the game at any point. You know, remember how they played against Cincinnati in the championship game, or the what was that, the Cotton Bowl game against when Cincinnati got there. Cincinnati was backed all the way up. So we're not gonna let Jamison Williams and we're not gonna let Mechie beat us. And they just handed the ball to Brian Robinson like 40 times. And he had like 200 yards rushing. Like that's kind of how, DeBoer is, man. I know it's USC, right? But I seen him just not give the ball, not let Penix really pass the ball much, and they running back ran for like a buck 85. Now, like I said, I know it's USC, but the shift in philosophy to understand what's working and just go for it. I think that's what Alabama was missing, man. And a couple of championship games that they've lost, man. Um, the shift in philosophy should have been right there. Like the one against Clemson when they lost to on the last second, Hunter Renfro, right? The philosophy should have just let's run the ball a little bit more because Jalen Hurts is having trouble passing the ball. And that just added up. If you look at the stats on that game, man, the defense was on the field for like 90 plays, bro. Like that's crucial. Like that's like running a marathon. Like, dang, it's fourth down again. Your coach yell out, all right, what's that? They call it sudden change again. Like, bro. So I mean, it's just some things that Saban was doing at the end that really kind of just didn't work, man. And I love Saban, man. He did a lot of good, man. But you can tell the shift in college football, man. The young coaches is what's winning right now because they're getting into these homes and they really talking to these players, man, and they really working. I mean, and Brian Kelly is one of those guys too that can really work the new system, man. Because he's all players, man. If you hear about him, he's always talking about players. I love the players. I love the players. The players do this. The players do that. Like I think kids like that. When they think it's about them, and it is. And he doesn't have to worry about leaving because he's got the best job he's gonna get right now. So I think he's good, man. But I definitely got Bama going all the way, man. That's my fandom speaking, and I'm okay with it. I'm good. I will eat crow. I ate crow last year. I told you they was gonna win last year. But we got beat in the playoffs. But I mean, we got there. We got there. You gotta give us credit for that. We was in the final four. So
Well, if we wouldn't have had the worst defensive coordinator last year, would have had subpar defense, we would have been there too with a stellar Heisman quarterback, but that just didn't happen.
I mean, yeah,
So
dog.
it's college
Yeah,
football.
like shit happens. It does. It does, bro. It does. It does, man. It does. So I expect y'all to be good, man. What y'all need to do is just let Harold Perkins eat, man. Stop putting
He's
him at
gonna.
middle linebacker. That's stupid. Like the stupidest stuff I've ever heard, man. That's so stupid. Dude was unblockable 2 years ago. And you gonna take him off the edge and put him in the middle where all the traffic is? That's so stupid, man. That's like us putting Will Anderson in the middle, bro, as a defensive tackle. You gonna get ate up, man. And that's exactly what happened to Harold Perkins last year. Dude was like, yo, why am I here? Like, now he made some plays. Don't get me wrong. He's not like terrible, but that was a terrible coaching decision. I wouldn't even put him at middle linebacker unless you're dropping somebody in his place and he can blitz. Dude should be forward at all times. Like, he shouldn't even be going back in coverage. It should be attack the quarterback, attack the run lanes, things like that. He's an attack weapon. He's not a coverage dude unless you're trying to take him and guard the like a running quarterback or the running back out the backfield. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I would not have him doing nothing else but seek and destroy all game. Like, dude, you got one of the best weapons in college football on defense, man. Why the hell ain't you using it? So yeah, that's what y'all need to do. If he can wreak havoc like it was 2 years ago, I guarantee y'all win more games than you did. I guarantee it. Because you ain't gotta worry about it. Late game, you got a couple point lead, say against Mizzou or something, and you need to stop. Just unleash him. Let him go after the quarterback. Brady Cook ain't getting away from him. I seen him. I seen it. I seen it. I seen it, man. He chased dude down. But we're gonna finish up, man. But we need to run another commercial break, man. Trying something new, man. So hopefully college football dogs doesn't get mad. But we're trying some different stuff, man. We're trying different stuff. Trying to get our podcast going, but we'll be right back, man. Check this out. Let you talk about Michigan coming into this season.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, like he said, Michigan won a national championship. Harbaugh, it was time for Harbaugh to finally leave the college ranks. Got a really good coaching dig with the LA Chargers. Kudos to him. Gets one of his assistant coaches, promoted to head coach, who I think he did a really good job as interim head coach last year while Harbaugh was gone. It does suck that it sucks that you lose Corum. It sucks that you lose McCarthy. You still have some really good depth on offense, and their defense is still really freaking good.
All right, we back, man. The commercial break, man. We trying it, man. Check out our YouTube channel, man. Football Frame of Mind podcast, man. Everywhere we on everything, man. Everywhere you get your socials, everything, man. We all over the place, man. So check them out, man. Check out College Football Dogs as well, man. So as we move forward. This has been our prediction show, man. Appreciate the viewership, man. We got a lot of people in here, man. So if you're in here, man, run the likes up, man. Comment everything. So we appreciate all of that. But just to redo it, we went on a little bit of a tangent there, man. But that's all right. That's just what it's about. It's a podcast show about football, and we're getting it in, man. So just to rehash it, man, this is our national championship picks, man. I'm the homer of the two, and Brandon warned me that I'm gonna be eating crow, so I hope I do, man. Hope so, but we shall see, man. What up, Johnny? What up, dog? How you doing, man?
Dang, I ain't seen Don in a long time.
Yeah,
Johnny
the Juice
Johnson.
Man. Yep.
I haven't heard that nickname in a long time.
Bro, that's what you saved as my phone as, Juice Man.
You for real?
I'm serious, man.
Hey, all you old heads, if you watching, if you know who OJ the Juice Man is, you're officially
OJ the
old. And
Juice
that was,
Man.
bro, from the
Okay. Okay.
second I got on campus, bro, that was always, oh man.
Okay.
And then if I caught it on somebody, oh, you got juiced. You got juiced.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Oh
man.
man. I hope
Yeah,
you're doing
man.
good, man.
We all. It's all
We
fam up
miss
in
you,
here, man.
man.
It's
We
fam
miss you,
right
bro. It's
there.
been a long time.
Terrebonne High School finest, man. We all up in here, man. We all went there, man. So really, really appreciate him, man. You been
Shout out to you,
commenting,
bro.
man. Appreciate that, man.
That was dope.
Yeah, man. I told you, man.
That
I
was
told you.
dope.
That's exactly why I shared in my on my Facebook, man. Cause I know it's a lot of people on there that know us specifically, and they be like, oh snap, they got a podcast. Definitely. So we need all the support we can get, man. Miss you too, bro. Miss you too. I hope
Miss you, man.
everything's good, man. I see you
It's been a
driving
long
them
time.
trucks, man. Them things is huge. I'll be like, yo.
I always remember dude had that El Camino. I wonder if he still has it. He used to drive that thing around all the time.
Yeah, man. He had that
Yeah,
El
bro.
Camino, man. That was nice, man. I always wanted one of those too, man. I always wanted those. Like that's cool. I liked it, man.
I'm
But he
pretty
definitely
sure Johnny remembers that game where you remember that game we played Central Lafourche? And they had that big freaking brawl, bro. Man,
yeah.
I look up, like, dude, what happens is, I think, okay, we were on defense, and Markel was playing corner, and he was covering that one dude, and something happened. One dude swung at him, and he swung back, and then I look up, and all I see is green running across the field, bro, and it turns into a big WWE match. Someone sneaks our coach. Someone sneaks their coach. His dad tries to come out the stands. They try to arrest his dad. They do. I'm like,
man,
bro,
nah,
like,
man.
8 people got suspended. I was like, what is going on, bro?
Hey,
like,
you can't mess with Johnny Dad, man. He ain't
dude,
playing.
Johnny's dad was coming down, bro. But
He's
they
like, yo, what you
that so
doing?
quick.
What you doing? Oh no, bro.
Bro,
Hey,
like, they
it
suspended a
took like
bunch of
4 people to like
That's what I'm
restrain Johnny
saying.
Dad, bro. He
Like,
wasn't playing.
It got live quick.
He
Like,
got
that was
live quick, man.
crazy.
It
was a
was
brawl.
wild because you wouldn't think. I was like, yo, what the hell is happening? And
It was
why
just
are they
one
coming over
thing.
here?
That's what I'm saying. But, like, dude, it was literally one play. It was like a pass play to the left side, I remember. And then, like, they had a skirmish, and then I still got it. Yeah, tore it down.
See,
What?
man? See, I told you, man. It took like
crazy.
5 people.
That game was. I'm surprised they didn't shut that down because that got crazy, bro. Like 5-6 guys got suspended for like a game or two because of that. I remember that.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, that was. Hey, that was fun,
wild.
man. I'm glad you still got the El Camino though, low key.
That's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Them old cars, man. I know it's not like a car show, but them old cars be good, man. Like I said, guess what my first car was, man? My first actual car. A 97 Pontiac Bonneville. Hey, that thing that was cruising, dude. That was cruising, man. I mean, it was cool, but I ain't had no traction with the tires, man. And being in New York like I was, that was horrible. I'm driving down the street and I'm like sliding in the car like this. People looking at me like while I'm sliding and they just stop. They're like, "Oh, I hope you figure it out." I'm like, bro, this is out of this world, man. So, but nah, man, it was a cool car, man. Had less than 100,000 miles on it, man. And like 20 years old car with less than 100,000, like that's a steal. Like once I let my homie, fix it up a little bit, wiring, it was it. I was like cruising. I was like, this is perfect. I was like, I'm cruising in the car, And then I got my license after that too. I was like, oh, cush.
Go for it.
Cush. Right? So then my wife was in the car, right? And I was just driving. You know how like driving Miss Daisy when you like driving with 2 hands and everything? right? And then I just showed up with it, right? And I start driving with one hand. It's like, oh, you think you cool now? I was like, I sure is. Yeah,
That's
but
funny.
nah, man. But this is our closing argument segment, man. Yeah, it's our closing argument segment, man. As our next show begins our NFL stuff, man. So our NFL preseason breakdown, the playoff, not the playoffs, but training camp is starting. Now we've seen some really cool. Obviously, the Hall of Fame was the beginning of training camp historically, so it's really cool to see all those guys get their moment, man, to really talk about the game and what it means to them. So I want to get your thoughts, man, on what you expect from the NFL season, man, as we shut down for the show. But what you think coming
I
into
think
the
it's gonna
NFL?
be. I think it's gonna be the season to see if these guys getting paid all that much is really gonna translate. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks get paid, man, and I think the biggest question is, from a salary standpoint, is like, is it worth what we're paying these guys? We're tying a lot of this money into these quarterbacks, and some with very limited proof of like success. I think that's going to be a real thing, and I think we're seeing the resurgence of the running back position too. I think last offseason was, oh man, we're starting to see the running back position really become devalued, and now they're not going to get paid. But I think we're kind of making a turn back right now. Like a lot of these younger guys are starting to prove, like, nah, like you can put money into us. Like you just need to be able to put us in the right situation. Like make sure we're getting good offensive alignment up front. You'll be able to put us in the right situation. I think the running back position is making a comeback. I think it's really going to be about that, about a lot of these quarterbacks that got paid in the offseason, and about some of these guys who are still waiting to get paid. Guys like T. Higgins, guys like there's a couple of CD Lamb, I think, is waiting on an extension. I think there's a few guys that have yet to getting paid, and I think this season's gonna be a real prove it. Like the NFL season's gonna be really good, man. Like if people stay healthy, like look at what happened last year, man. I picked Nick Chubb to be Offensive Player of the Year. He tore his ACL, like first game. A lot of people said, "Oh man, the Jets are gonna be so good." Aaron Rodgers didn't even last a quarter. Like,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. If everything goes the way most likely it should, this season's gonna be lit. Like way more lit than last offseason. We had some really good moves in free agency, trades, the draft. Got a bunch of new guys in here, a bunch of new franchise quarterbacks we're really looking forward to see. So I think it's gonna be really competitive. And I feel there's a lot of unexpected, man. I think a lot of surprise teams are going to be making a run, just kind of like how Houston did last year. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that this year going into this season. I have a lot of high expectations.
Well, I think T Higgins, man, if he doesn't get the money he wants, he might be moved somewhere, man. Because I remember last year, well, not last year, well, maybe this offseason how we were talking about it. I think he was one of the guys that I said he wants to be paid like a one, but he's a number two to Jamar Chase, right? So if you're the team, the Bengals are a cheap team, in terms of paying people. So they ain't gonna pay him like a one. And I think he'll be served as on a team to be their number one if they traded for him.
The Niners are in
Especially,
the same The Niners in the same situation with IU. They're still having that freaking discussion as we speak.
yeah, yeah, they are, man, because he feels like a one. And
He
he is a
is.
one,
He
honestly.
is. I mean, but Higgins is a one too, in my opinion, and on the right team. Like both of those guys are justifiably number one. Do I prefer? I think Higgins is really, really good, but I think Ayuk is better, in my opinion. Not by a whole lot, but Ayuk is just explosive, and he's just reliable, strong. Like both of those guys do deserve to get paid, and I am curious to see, like, are they going to get moved, or are they going to find a way to be able to retain? Because if those teams retain those guys for some crazy reason, I expect those teams to more than likely be in the Super Bowl this year if you're able to keep both of those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ayuk is much better, especially at route running. I think that his ability to get open is really what I like the most about Ayuk, man. But What I'm excited to see is who's gonna beat the Chiefs.
Oh, I think this year could be. I don't know, bro. Last year we freaking picked against the Chiefs all year, bro. Me and you literally all year. From week 1 till the Super Bowl, we picked against them all year, and look what happened. So maybe we just don't pick against them and it'll finally happen. I don't know. I'm kinda skeptical.
Yeah, but that's my storyline going into
Mm.
the NFL season, man. Who's gonna stop this three-peat from happening? Who's gonna stop it, man? Is it gonna be an AFC team, or are they gonna stop them in the Super Bowl? What is gonna happen? Because whoever plays them is gonna have to go through Arrowhead, probably.
Yeah. But even last year they didn't have to go in Arrowhead and they still freaking ran the table.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, they're gonna have to go through the Chiefs. Like that's my point.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to go through the
Agreed.
Chiefs.
It doesn't matter where
So
it's at.
I think like I said, I'm a homer, man. I really want my teams to do well. I gotta see Lamar has to be the guy. He has to be the guy. He has to win a Super Bowl. Because it's the only way that teams are going to draft quarterbacks that look
It's if
like
they
him.
win. They have to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, like
They have
that's the only way they're going to draft quarterbacks look like me is if they win. Like that's it. That's it.
they have to win it all.
And not specifically just like look like me, but
No,
have
just
his
that
skill
go
set.
exactly. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, like that's the only way. Because the whole time the NFL's been in existence for about what 100 something years, it feels like they've always said the same thing. You can't win with a running quarterback or a mobile quarterback, dual threat quarterback, whatever you want to call it. You can't win with him. So it has to happen. He has to be the one. He's already
Yeah.
won 2 MVPs already. So he has
Mm-hmm.
to win. Or it's not just going to be another repeat cycle. They're not going to do it. We're not going to have faith in it.
It's
So,
possible that they can make it. We've seen Jalen make it, so it's not impossible to make it. But like you said, to kill the narrative and to finally break through that glass ceiling, somebody's got to do it. Whether it's Lamar or whether it's Jalen or one of these other guys. Like I would really like to see him get it first.
yeah.
Being like you said that he did get 2 MVPs, and
Yeah.
MVPs are really important, like very important. There are guys who've earned MVPs and have gotten snubbed. Like plenty of guys, I can go on a tangent about Drew Brees, plenty of other really good players that didn't get MVPs. He's got 2 of them, but doesn't have a ring. That's the one thing that's going to separate him from a lot of other guys. And like you said, that's going to be another thing that's going to elevate these other guys to be able to get the opportunities that I feel like they deserve.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. So that's my storyline. Who's gonna beat the Chiefs, man? Who's gonna step up and do it, man? A lot of good teams, but that's pretty much what I'm looking out for, man. I want to see who's gonna beat them, because they've been down every Super Bowl they've won. They've been losing
Come
at
back.
some point in that game, and they've come back to win. So somebody got to beat them, and it starts in training camp, man. So you know what they coming with. So what can you match? That's the biggest thing. Can you match anything? Their defense? Can you match their offense? Like they're gonna give you some. They're gonna give you a lead, but you gotta hold it more times than not. So, but that's my thing, man. Like I said, I think we did all the comments, man. And that's pretty much it, man. That's the show for the most part, man. Like I said, we go live every Sunday, man. So that's our day, that's our time. 8 9 p.m. Eastern. So go on your clocks like that. But if you're in the central, that'll be 8 p.m. 8:15, but be by your phones at 8 o'clock, man. So you gotta get that grace period, man. That's that military in me. 15 minutes prior, man. So 15 minutes before, be there or be square. But nah, man. But before we get up out of here, anything you gotta say to the people, man? We got a lot of people in here watching, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the ones that have actually been watching this whole time. Thank you for anybody with the comments, man. Thanks to like Andrew and Johnny and anybody else who's been leaving comments and likes and things like that, man. You are the reason why we're here. You are the reason why we've grown the way we have. I mean, YouTube, we've got almost 17,000 subscribers. We've grown on TikTok to over 10,000, man, and it's all because of you guys. So definitely appreciate you guys and all the time that you guys put in to watch the content, to enjoy it. And we love the feedback, man. The feedback's the coolest part. So thank you for all the people watching now. And if anybody watches our content on all platforms, like we said, if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Like this kind of video. If you like this kind of content, make sure you like the video, leave a comment. And don't forget the bell notification so you'll never miss any of our content. If you're a busy person that's on the go, make sure to check us out on audio platforms, man. If you like Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, whatever that good stuff is, we're all on all that. So if you're at the gym, at work, you want to listen to us, check us out, man. We do streaming. Check us out on Twitch. We've got it all for you. If you want a podcast that's different than any other podcast on the web, whether it be breakdowns, what ifs, gaming, discussions, debates, check us out. We've concluded college. We're going to be going into NFL. Not sure the structure of like what conferences, divisions we're going to do because we're kind of crammed for time because the NFL is literally like a month away. But definitely stay tuned for that. We'll go through the AFC, the NFC award predictions, and then we'll get into our Super Bowl picks, man. And by the time we get the Super Bowl picks, college football is going to be in full swing, and the NFL is going to be following suit. So definitely, if you guys like this kind of content, strap up for the ride. It's going to be a fun one. This season's going to be really good.
I agree, man. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. But Cam, that's Brandon. This has been a Football Frame of Mind podcast. Signing off. Peace.
Peace.